Hi, I'm Rhonda Dwyer and I'm the Jewellery and Object Technician from Sydney College of the Arts. Today I'm going to demonstrate how to saw pierce materials using a jewellery saw. Before we get started, you'll need one piece of metal sheet, a printed image, a piercing saw, a bench peg with a clamp, double-sided tape, cutting lubricant, jewellery saw blades, and a pair of scissors. Clamp your bench peg onto a table and secure firmly. Cut your image to fit your sheet metal. Tape your image onto the metal using double-sided tape. If you prefer to directly draw on the metal, apply masking tape on the surface first to prevent your pencil marks rubbing off. Holding the saw frame in your dominant hand, loosen the screws slightly on the top and bottom of the frame. Rest the top of the frame against the edge of the table with the bolt sitting on the edge of the table to support the frame. To find the teeth direction of the blade, take a blade and run your finger gently down and back up the blade. One direction the blade will feel smooth and the other direction the surface feels prickly. Insert the bottom of the blade so that the teeth of the blade are facing downwards and facing you. Tighten the blade. Push the top of the frame into the table to reduce the frame size. This will help create tension in the blade. Rest the top of the blade into the clamp cavity and screw shut. Lift the frame and now the blade should be tight. To test if the blade has tension, pluck the blade and you should hear a high ping sound. If you hear a deeper sound, that means the blade is not tight and needs readjusting. If you cut with a blade without tension, you'll find that your blade will wander and the blade is more likely to break. Position your metal so that it is resting over the cutout V on the bench peg. Lower your chair so that the bench peg is around your head height if possible. Sit with a straight back and your legs firmly on the ground to support yourself. Run the blade on an angle on the edge of the sheet to create a nick in the metal to get it started. Cut the material by moving the frame up and down in a vertical position. When you push down, that is when the blade cuts. Avoid pushing the blade with a lot of force. Instead, let your cutting arm be relaxed and allow the teeth of the blade to do the work. You are less likely to break blades with this method. Hold your metal firmly to the peg. If you need to achieve a different angle, use this hand to readjust the sheet against the peg. Your saw blade should stay in nearly the same position in the middle of the peg. If you move your frame around to follow the form, you'll find it difficult to cut and more likely to break blades. Roughly cut out around your printed image so that the material is smaller to handle. If you're required to cut out internal forms, you'll need to first drill a hole and then insert the blade into the hole and then cut. You should cut internal parts first while you have more material to hold on to. If you have any corners, pull back on the blade while moving the blade up and down and rotate the work at the same time. This will prevent you breaking your blade or cutting into your work accidentally. Once you have cut the internal parts, then cut the exterior of the form. During the cutting process, if you find the blade becomes stuck and cannot move, you either have a blade that is too large for the material thickness, so not enough blade teeth, or the blade is blunt, or you need a cutting lubricant because the metal is soft, such as copper, so it grabs onto the blade more easily. You can use a cutting lubricant to help your blade glide. When you get to the end of a cut, slow down and cut the last part really slowly so that your blade does not fly forwards into other parts of your work or get stuck in your bench peg. Thank you for watching this workshop on saw piercing materials using a jewellery saw. It's also called a piercing saw. You could also call it that.